questions. I was talking about that email.
Yeah,
You're live.
Thank you.
well, welcome to the June 26th meeting. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome to everybody. Do we have some public comment?
I would like to make public comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give your name and
I'm Joe Knopp, and I'm here on three topics. The first is the law board meeting today. I've been out of town for 2 weeks, and as I read the paper, the deciding vote on what's going to happen there sits in this room. And I'm here to encourage you to be the conservative people that we thought we were electing you to be. And I know that law enforcement is a high priority, but it sets the tone for the entire employment status of all government agencies from here on out. If you say it's 6.5%, then it's going to be hard for you to tell your employees, whether they're emergency preparedness people or road people standing out there on the road with people going by them at 65 miles an hour, or anybody else who thinks their job is essential, and it is, that they're not entitled to the same 6.5%. The school district will then use that as the basis for theirs, and the city will use the basis for theirs. And the cost of me renting my property from government for the next year goes up 7 or 8%. And there's people on fixed income who can afford that. I understand inflation. We all do. But we all have the ability to control our cost of living by the Kroger or Surefine or Del Monte foods we buy at the grocery store, what kinds of things we eat, when we eat, where we go, what we do. So I'm encouraging you to be conservative on that because it ripples through our entire economy. If that is not, if you believe that law enforcement over everybody else needs to be brought up into a level that's competitive with Hutchinson and Wichita and Leawood and Douglas County, wherever, I would encourage you to think strongly about making that raise a part of their agreement to bring their wage salaries up rather than a COLA. The COLA then becomes the base for next year. And then when you add that number in, it just magnifies. Anybody who understands the power of compounded interest understands that over 30 years, that becomes significant. And each year you got to hold that. So that's my number one point. My number 2 point is that I'd like for you to look very closely at courthouse security. In 2016, you all agreed to put in increased courthouse security at both municipal court and law board did, and each of you at the courthouse. I had an extended conversation with Judge Wilson, who was a former law partner and administrative judge at that time, about whether or not it was needed. And I concluded that after practicing for 30 years at that time, now 35 or 40, I can't lose track, that the risk of danger in that courthouse is much less than it is anywhere else I go. And it's certainly for the courthouse employees who are behind bulletproof glass everywhere they are, and a door that locks and won't let you in unless you identify yourself. There's no need for that. Times have changed. And I lost that argument. And seven people were employed, $400,000 were incurred, and now 7 years later, $2.8 million spent in salaries alone. We're still doing that. And nobody goes back and looks at a zero-based budget and say, do we really need this program? Now, I'm not suggesting these are good people. Bless their hearts. They're the Maytag salesmen, they're Maytag repairmen of law enforcement. They're sitting there all day, 3 of them, and I'm not sure what they're doing.
No, you've got 3, that's 3 minutes. So Just so you know, for public comment, they have a limit of 3 minutes. I'm not
Okay.
saying you got to stop now, but if you could
All right.
kind of.
Okay, so anyway, look at that very closely. Look at that very, very closely. If you can get down to one person, at that time, we didn't have video. Now you got video in every courtroom. At that time, we didn't have Zoom conferencing. And a lot of hearings are being held by Zoom, so there's not as many people in the courthouse. With the fentanyl and 8 people dying, I contend that that's a much more serious risk to our community than any risk to Joe Knopp as an attorney in a courtroom, or a judge or a court reporter who's in a courtroom today having a Zoom conference. Reevaluate that, $400,000 of savings. Final comment, and maybe I could come back and make this, but I think that the concern I have a little bit about your 4-day work week. I would encourage you to reevaluate that. I think that the only office in city and the county government that really applies that should think about that. I said it wrong. The only office that we're concerned about the hours is the treasurer's office. Getting my license renewed, getting my taxes paid. And it'd be nice to come in at 7 o'clock before I go to work, and come back at 5:30 after I'm off work doing that. And I see no reason they couldn't adjust that schedule to accommodate that with the number of people they have with flexible scheduling. One size doesn't fit all. I don't know how you're going to do that, but I'll leave that topic for another time and come back some other time and use my next 3 minutes on that.
Okay.
And I'd be glad to talk to you individually on that. But for today, that law board is a multi-million-dollar decision that is affecting all of us, and you guys are going to control that decision. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, let's move on to, do we have other public comment?
He only gets 2.
2 minutes.
30 seconds. Come on.
Evan McMillan, Raleigh County Public Works. I wanted to give a public announcement that the transfer station will be closed 4th of July for the holiday. Then will also be closed July 29th on that Saturday for some renovations.
We gonna
Yeah.
put out a notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other public comment?
Got it.
Okay. Commissioner McKinley.
Okay. I took a couple of trips to Leonardville to check on progress of the new ambulance station. We got all the wall framing up and most of the sheeting in place. Expecting to be setting trusses this week. Know for sure we've got a progress meeting Wednesday, but it looks like we should be setting trusses.
I'm moving pretty quickly.
I took some pictures and sent them to Vivian, and she's posting something. May have already done that. She was going to post something this morning. On places. Other than that, I worked around the house a lot this weekend. And then last night I sent a note to Ned Seaton correcting the article in last Thursday's meeting. It's in the paper. That's it.
Okay, Commissioner Ford.
That was on the, what again? Ogden, right? Okay. I didn't catch the article, so.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Guess I
you
didn't.
didn't miss a whole lot.
Yeah. Guess I had no reason to send an email if you don't catch it, right?
It's 100% wrong.
It was
Okay.
clever published back in.
Well, I'm gonna have to go back, take a peek at that then. Okay, well, Thursday post meeting, I did speak with Amanda Webb, our planning director, on the update to the comprehensive plan that's currently in progress. Gave her a couple thoughts and ideas that will hopefully help along the way, as we're really having problems trying to find somebody to help facilitate bits and pieces of the plan and everything that needs to go along with it moving forward. And I also provided her with some other members and organizations from the community that might be able to plug in and potentially help along the way as well. Also on Thursday, I listened in on this group called Arrow ECS. They had I thought a pretty good webinar called Artificial Intelligence in Government, Securing Productivity and Citizen Services. As we all know, the whole AI thing is becoming more and more prevalent at this point in time. So I'm trying to learn as much, gain as much knowledge as I possibly can. Every time I hear one of these, I go back to the movie Terminator 2. I know I'm dumb. I know I'm dating myself here, but you know, that little arm and little chip and the end of the world, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and well, so on and so forth. So anyway, this webinar was pretty good. Dealt with subjects on hybrid cloud, data and ransomware, legacy systems, cloud and artificial intelligence on the cloud, native application scaling and security, and how all those fit in the future sectors of both the public and private sector, both, but this was more focused on the public side. Very, very intriguing, but very, very scary at the
Yeah,
same time.
it
But
is.
it's on the precipice, and it's something that we're going to have to steer into at some particular point in time. So it's more of a panel discussion. Gentleman named Jorge Avila from the California State Department of Technology spoke. Tara Holden, Director of Product Security Compliance at the Red Hat organization. Karen Jackson, former Secretary of Technology in Virginia. Neil Asworth, Security Architect at Nutanix, and a commissioner from Utah County also spoke. So like I said, really insightful discussion on what it can mean for the private sector, and how it will filter down to local units of government as well. If they get a link to that at some point in time, I might send it along. Something we need to be thinking about probably moving forward. Friday morning was able to attend at least the first half of the tax sale that took place out of the Public Works Conference Room. Looked like we had a full house, more than a full house. It's kind of busting at the seams. So much so they had to come and unlock the air conditioner and to turn the temperature down with all the hot air in the room. I was only able to stay for half of it, but it looked like it went well, and the whole process appeared to go well. Like how you got both police officer and auctioneer combined into one. Lots of savings there, I'm sure. Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah. So, yeah, it looked like that went pretty well. I guess we'll see the numbers and the final from that at some point in time here, I'd assume over the next couple of weeks. Friday afternoon had some dialogue and discussion on today's special law board meeting, and in particular, the vote on the 2024 fiscal budget. Several different ideas surfaced. I think at one point in time on Friday, there's now 6 budget proposals.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of those are actually going to be real at this particular point in time, but 1:30 City Hall. If anybody needs, I guess, some afternoon entertainment, yeah. Feel free to watch or stop by. It'll be interesting. Saturday morning, I spoke with Mike Madsen, Director of External Affairs with the Chamber. We both had a couple of subjects to discuss that were both current in nature and some that are not, but appreciating taking some time out on a Saturday to meet and chat on everything. And we'll have a couple of catch-up dialogues, I'm sure, moving forward. And spent the rest of the weekend catching up on things at home and getting ready for everything that is here early in the week. Trying to get out in front before the holiday next week. I just feel like I'm behind when those things happen. So that's all I got this morning.
Okay, well, Thursday, after the meeting, I went out and signed some letters that go out and packets that went out to 3 people in the Keats area that I had talked to, and we're not on our original list. If you want a copy of it, I'll get one to you. And then that evening, I went over and helped out at the community meal at my church. I resigned my position being the cook, desire is too much for me, but but I will go in and help out every once in a while. I served, and we had over 100 people. A lot of kids were involved, were there too. A lot of new people we never seen before. So I mean, that's where all the churches are really being stressed because of that. Food-wise, cooking for 100 people in small kitchens, not really. But they have it all worked out real well. Friday, I did go to the tax sale, sat through the whole thing, and it really was well attended. The auctioneer did really good, and there were a lot of people bidding against each other. So it was like a real auction. It was a lot of fun.
Going up $1 at times. I was chuckling down. 500, 501. I'm like, come on.
He does that every year for the last 20 years.
Come on.
And I'd like to give kudos to the people running it that were working there, because they did a really great job. And
I told John, I said, next year I think I'm going to put in a bid and bid high, so other people bid high, so we get more money back. And then he reminded me that there's a very difficult thing in that you might actually get stuck with it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
there's
maybe I
other
better
problems.
not. Well, yeah, besides the obvious.
I'm sure you're kidding.
Well, I was sitting behind, there was a contractor we were sitting behind, and I sat with our new deputy counselor, so I got to know her a little better. But he was carpenter, and he was thinking about, getting the flip house, but some of those went so high, a couple of them that I don't know how they're going to make it except flipping it. But it's just, it was a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But who knows?
They may not be flipping it. They may have some
Who
other
knows?
ideas.
But there were some interesting bids going on, and some, looking at the properties and how you're thinking, well, do they own the property next to it? Why would they want this piece? And I mean, it was just it was fun to monitor. So it's the first one I've ever gone to. So yeah, had a good time. We can, let's see, how do you get all this written down? We can just basic, kind of a lot of stuff. Read through a lot of things, really looked at some of the budget proposals that we've got here. And one today we're going to talk about. So worked on that and answered some emails, and that's about it for me. So we're going to business.
Business commissioners. First item we have improvements to University Park Lakeside Heights sewage treatment facility resolution.
So this is basically for the grant.
Well, it's not for a grant, it's we have to have an authorizing resolution in order to even move forward with the project. Now, it'll be used for purposes, the entities that we apply to for financing, whether it's USDA or anybody, they're going to want to see that. And we need to have formal action by the board approving the project. That's what this amounts to. And Evan says I didn't mess up, so there you go.
And this is not, I was like, it's not really, that's not what it could cost, but we haven't located the location yet, right?
Basically a formality to apply for the funding. So you have to have this authorize us to go for funding.
I would say that, because this hasn't gone to the University Park Board yet. I mean, we've talked in general terms. And I know we've got a meeting in a couple of weeks with them. Is that setting up stuff to go to their meeting?
Yeah, so this is just to start the application.
Okay.
No, one of those applications.
I don't know if there's a due date on the state revolving fund in the USDA. A small town, I think it's at the end of June, small town infrastructure grant.
Because I was thinking we were going to do Keats too.
Yes, yeah.
So we probably should get that one here pretty soon.
I'm not sure if Keats is going for state revolving funds. I know University Park is.
Okay.
This will be just for state revolving funds from KDG.
And the University Park Board has discussed this. They are well aware of this.
Yeah,
project. They discussed it.
Project, but they've been,
Yeah.
that one on there saying weren't keeping them informed enough.
Yeah.
And that I know they've invited us all to the meeting. A couple of weeks.
Well, they've sent in, they've made some specific inquiries, and we worked with Evan, and he's going to provide answers to the various questions that they most recently have raised. Perfectly legit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I guess I'll make a motion to approve a resolution authorizing improvements to the University Park and Lakeside Heights sewage treatment facility.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution authorizing improvements to the University Park and Lakeside Heights sewage treatment facility. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All three signed several times.
Yeah, you want to say this is run it off the paper. But they just set it on your own. Did you see that?
Yeah.
About how they completely.
I think that's the only thing that we actually did put on them was the court costs, everything else.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they did bid and were awarded all those lots of the site. So. One resolution.
What time are we meeting again on Thursday? 9 o'clock, is that right?
They're leaving here at 9 o'clock,
Okay.
as I recall.
Okay.
That's assuming it all still falls into place. I'm going to talk about that.
Oh.
It may need to be a different date. If I don't hear back.
So are we taking a vehicle? Well,
That's usually what we do. It's my way of making sure the county clerk has an opportunity to participate.
Do what?
We take a common vehicle,
So this is this Thursday, the next meeting?
yeah,
9:30.
leaving here at 9, showing up at the property about 9:30.
Preferably a large suburban.
Don't own one.
It's at 9 a.m. So breakfast service would be encouraged as well.
Hey, that I can have delivered if I can possibly get it.
Just get the county Kia, right?
The county Kia.
Morning, John.
Morning.
I was thinking of this meeting this Thursday, but it didn't, tentative agenda, so.
Yeah, I didn't need
That's
it.
why it
That's
may or
why.
may not happen.
Oh,
And we'll know when.
I hope today. I
Yeah.
definitely,
Oh, it's still up in the air.
well, I wouldn't say it's up in the air. It's a little bit above ground.
It's not even that far along.
No, no. Good.
Not up in the air, but it's hovering a little bit.
Yeah, it's hovering. It's hovering.
Because I put it in ink in my calendar, so.
Oh, then we gotta have it. I'm sorry. That's it. Yeah.
If we just go up there and stare at it for an hour.
This kind of morning, that's okay. But yeah, it might be a little hot after 103 day. Then we'll-
Okay, that's that.
Wednesday's supposed to be like-
Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, over 100 on Wednesday.
It's supposed to rain.
Then 80s, upper 80s this weekend. They're not fine for that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next, commissioners, gonna get a motion on mobile device reimbursement form.
Move to approve the mobile device reimbursement form.
Second.
This one moved and seconded to approve the mobile device reimbursement form. All in favor? Aye.
Chair, please. Next, I have Rutherford County Personnel Action Forms from Rebecca Bartosh, new hire as needed intern Community Corrections Department. And Braden Warborney, appraiser 2, residential appraiser's office, separation of service.
I was curious why there were no numbers on the community corrections one. Okay.
Hey, this was.
Yeah,
And how to form
well,
up.
not really. I mean, she's giving you the value of the opportunity, so it's, what do they say in Amex? It doesn't. What do they say that it's invaluable or?
Privilege of being here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
can't put a number.
Elizabeth to that.
Yeah.
always ask, right?
I mean, you made it sound so positive.
I mean, internship should be positive. I talked to her this morning and I hope she gets a lot out of it. And like she already had a full day of community corrections fun in front of her.
Tom Sawyer kind of thing.
A reminder too, while we're doing that, yeah, and John knows, I'm gonna be, not gonna be here on Monday. Because, and then we'll be back for the Thursday meeting. After the forum. So a long time ago, I have to get out of town.
Well, get your dog back.
Well, I can't take it.
Right.
It's too big.
Right.
I feel like in a ball, I don't think it'd be loud. But no, it's just, it's so loud in my neighborhood, I can't do anything.
Commissioners, any changes to the minutes?
Anything? Go ahead, then make a motion to approve the minutes as written from the June 22nd meeting, Riley County Commission.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the June 22nd minutes as written, all in favor?
Aye.
The tentative agendas, like commissioners.
You can try to put David Adams. Thursday.
Yeah, we have contact and he's agreed.
Okay.
Yep,
Here.
Yeah, I saw that when I reviewed it last week too, and I went and talked to Cindy personally, and she said, yeah. Okay. Yep, I caught that as well. Any items for next week's press conference? But yeah, David has been confirmed to be there. Next commissioners, you have Robin Bolt, 9 o'clock. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi.
John. Yeah.
Looks like Monday's New Year's thing.
It may get shorter. There's been a lot of people canceling. Everyone wants Monday off. We're getting a lot of requests from staff. A lot of department heads aren't here. Yeah, you'll be lucky if it's. Yeah, the only thing we have is Russell at 10, that's potentially, you know, well, I think Evan and Clancy just for his regular, there's only 2 items, yeah. And actually, without the press conference on there for RCPD, it could be as early as 9:20, but yeah, we'll be at skeleton crews around here. We have had lots of inquiries from department heads and staff about that day.
That wasn't on our list. It's taken off.
It is not in our policy. We did it like in 2020, we're in the same situation and we did, the commissioners did grant the additional day.
Friday before.
The Friday before.
Oh,
Because everyone.
that was a miserable.
Everyone pre-plans ahead on that. Get skeletons free everywhere. You can get contact with them. Julie gives. She said she missed a lot. Because we discussed this department head meeting. Some people brought it up. Yeah. Did talk to Shiloh about it. She said, yeah, please figure it out.
Like how they are.
Meetings over this a month and yeah, it should be fine.
Right, we're here. No, we can buy it. So if we maybe put that up to the end of the meeting, maybe. We'll talk about it.
I was gonna actually mention it myself.
Okay. Since they're gonna be running the meeting.
No, it's, there's only
Be
2
much of a
items, it's
meeting
not
or
much of a meeting. I kind of figured that's the way it was gonna be. That would have been the case 3 years ago if other things hadn't happened or were happening in the moment.
Oh, yeah. Oh, big deal. almost, no. No. So,
Maybe that.
yeah, there we are. It's
Yes,
9 o'clock.
it's not. Looks like all of our clocks are synced. To the universal clock or whatever it is. So it's good to see you all this morning. I hope you're having a great summer. Now that we're past it is officially summer.
Yeah,
now.
it'll
So
feel like it on Wednesday too.
that's right. I think what 101 is what they're predicting. So we Monty Mental Health we are on the cusp of becoming a CCBHC. I think that, as you know, we were granted our provisional license or certification as a certified community behavioral health clinic. This is a new model of delivering Medicaid services, but it is a model that all people who come for services at Pawnee Mental Health will be able to access and appreciate the benefits of. And it could not come soon enough. We weren't prepared a year ago to certify to be a CCBHC. There's a lot of standing up that needs to do. It requires an investment of some upfront money. Plus, we thought there was some merit in giving some of the other community mental health centers the opportunity to work out the bugs, especially with the managed care organizations, who will be paying for those services. But as you know, I've said before, the current business model is not sustainable. Pawnee Mental Health, most of our funding comes from fees for services. And most of our fees for services are Medicaid or sliding fee. And the state of Kansas hasn't changed Medicaid reimbursement rates in about 20 years. There are some exceptions to that. With some individual service codes that have been increased, but by and large, we're getting paid the same thing this year that we got paid in 2003. So we are not paying the same costs as we were paying in 2003, though. So we are going to be hiring more staff. There are increased expectations under CCBHC to provide services that we're not currently providing. The big change for community mental health centers is that instead of, again, being paid Medicaid rates that haven't changed in 20 years, we're going to be paid based on what it costs for us to provide the services. And so every mental health center in the state of Kansas has a different cost or a different rate that they'll be paid by Medicaid. And it's based on what the local market demands for them to be able to deliver services and provide. So just as we look at expanding, we're going to be able to increase our wage and salary scale. We're not going to actually implement increased wages and salaries until September. However, we'll start being paid differently July 1st, but we simply don't have the cash reserves to be able to increase wages and salaries concurrent with the implementation of the new rates. We need a couple of months to be collecting the new fees before we're going to be in a position to be able to pay out new wages and salaries. We don't have enough space, and so we have signed a lease for some additional rental space in the Village Plaza Shopping Center. We'll be moving our community support services program at Hayes Drive into this new space at Village Plaza. There are our case managers who work with children with serious emotional disturbances will be operating out of that office. I expect that as we move forward, we're probably going to have to lease additional space in Manhattan. It simply is going to be a transition until that day when we have a new facility that we're able to pull everyone in together on. So it may be a couple years, but as we provide the services that are part of CCBHC, we just don't have the space right now. I hate that we have to sort of piecemeal facilities together, but that's the reality of our situation right now. As I mentioned, CCBHC is a new Medicaid payment model. I think I've talked about this before. It's coming at a good time, a bad time, because if you remember during the COVID public health emergency, the federal government essentially said that people who have Medicaid or Children's Health Insurance Program don't have to reapply. And so those folks that were eligible at the start of the public health emergency maintained their eligibility until the public health emergency expired or was expired, which was in May. And so Kansas Department of Health and Environment has been sending out renewal applications. Just this morning, I looked at the latest press release. On June 13th, it was reported that KDHE had sent out more than 200,000 renewal applications. 5,667 were deemed ineligible, 22,473 were approved, and then 45,820 lost their coverage because they didn't submit their renewal applications. The Kansas City Star reported that more than 100,000 have not been processed because of mailing delays. So there's a real there are some issues with regard to Medicaid re-enrollments in Kansas. The article went on to say that Kansas has disenrolled the second highest percentage of applicants among the states that are reporting. So part of why that's important to Pawnee is that our success under CCBHC is largely influenced by what happens with Medicaid. Again, remembering back that Medicaid and sliding fee are the majority of the people that we serve. So we're watching this closely. We are working for those clients of ours who have had Medicaid to help them get their applications in and submitted in a timely manner. In fact, we're holding open houses the last Thursday of each month during this next year to help people who need assistance with reapplying. The state did announce some funding for mental health. And again, this goes back to COVID money. I think you're all familiar with Sparks money that has been made available through the state. Well, KDAD's announced awards of a little over $65 million to go towards expansion of mental health care. And so the state has awarded $25 million in Sparks funds to a new state psychiatric hospital, which will be located in Wichita. They're referring to it as the South Central Kansas State Mental Health Hospital. I don't know if that's what the name of the state hospital will be, or if they're just referring to it by geography right now. But it will create 50 adult beds. And again, this hospital will be owned and operated by the state in the same way that Larned State Hospital and Osawatomie State Hospital are. So we'll have a third state psychiatric hospital. I'm sure they've put out a to be opened by date. I'm not sure what that is, but it certainly is going to be a couple of years out before we'll see the benefit of that. Then they also awarded $12.7 million to KBC Health Systems. KBC has services throughout the state, but this $12.7 million will go to a new Olathe Psychiatric Hospital. And this new Olathe Psychiatric Hospital will be a joint venture between KBC and the states. This $12.7 million will create 58 youth and 24 adult beds in Olathe. So we do see 2 new hospitals, psychiatric hospitals coming online in the next couple of years as a result of these Sparks funds. And then KDAD's also awarded $15 million to Wichita State University and the University of Kansas Health Sciences programs, again in Wichita. And part of this is to increase the workforce. It's been well known or well established that we have mental health workforce issues in Kansas in terms of, and frankly, it's not just in Kansas, it's a nationwide issue with just not enough people in the field to meet the demand and the needs for mental health care. So this $15 million will go towards building a joint health sciences education center that will help produce more workers. The legislature had already awarded $190 million towards this facility in Wichita. It's part of a $300 million project. And I believe the other part of the funding is being raised through private giving and that kind of thing. So there are some things on the horizon. I think that between the move towards CCBHC for community mental health centers and the addition of these two psychiatric hospitals in Kansas, as well as efforts to increase the workforce, I would anticipate that in the next couple of years, we'll start to see some improvements in terms of the mental health system in Kansas. If you remember, Mental Health America gave Kansas the rating of 51st in the nation in 2023 in terms of its mental health needs. And that Mental Health America evaluation was based on just the resources that are available to meet the mental health needs of the state, as well as then the identified needs in the state. So I think you're going to see in the next couple of years that ranking is going to change. I think that the investment of resources in CCBHC, the investment of resources in inpatient beds, all combined will move Kansas up in that ranking, and that we'll see that those external sources that are evaluating what's happening across the nation are going to see that Kansas is making improvements in mental health. But bringing it local, we're planning under the auspices of the Riley County Mental Health Task Force, which again started here. Karen McCullough was a Riley County commissioner at the time. And I think she was hearing so many things from so many different of the county's constituents about unmet mental health needs in Riley County, that she called for the formation of the Riley County Mental Health Task Force. And it was when she was a Riley County commissioner. And there have been a lot of things that have happened over the years that have really improved our ability to meet mental health needs in Riley County. The Riley County Mental Health Task Force is now looking at what's next, because those mental health needs have not gone away. And in fact, we're hearing more reports of the number of mentally ill in jail, the impact on the emergency rooms, in spite of the fact that we have a crisis stabilization unit, that the demand has increased enough that we're still seeing a lot of pressures on those other systems. So the Riley County Mental Health Task Force is planning a mental health summit in Manhattan on Thursday, September 7th. Pawnee and the Riley County Police Department have been working closely together with each other to help put together an agenda for that summit. We're hoping to pull together community organizations and leaders, and certainly we would invite all three of you to attend that summit. We're going to be talking about just sort of the pain points that are being experienced by the hospitals and the jails and other stakeholders in the community as we work together to develop strategies to better meet the needs of the mentally ill in our community, and to reduce the impact that some of these other organizations and agencies are experiencing. I believe that is going to be at the Public Works office. And it'll be a 9 to 1 event. I believe that there's been some funding found even to provide lunch. And so I think it'll be a good conversation. We're looking at getting a facilitator from K-State to help us in facilitating that conversation. So I do hope they'll consider attending that. We also are working with, we received notice of another mental health intervention team grant awarded by the Kansas State Department of Education to school districts across the state. We'll be working again with USD 383 on providing a mental health consultation services to the school, just to better meet the needs of kids in the school district. We are going to be closed for Independence Day, which is right around the corner. But of course, our CSU will be open, and of course, the 1-800 number will be available for any individuals who have crisis. The last thing I would note is that we have a youth mental health first aid training coming up on July 21st. We have a mental health adult training, mental health first aid training for adults on July 14th, but that's already full. And so we don't have any openings for that, but we do have some openings still for the youth focused mental health first aid training on July 21. So that concludes my report, unless you have any questions or comments you'd like to make.
Good report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Don Ellen, commissioners.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Morning, commissioners, John Elman, Public Works. This morning we have public hearing for the vacation of piece of right of way on Tuttle Cove Road. And I wish I'd have brought stuck a picture in there.
Scroll down.
Is it in there?
Yeah, scroll down.
I didn't copy or print it off, so this piece here is Tuttle Cove Road. I mean, do we have to officially open here? No.
This is a
Yes.
public hearing.
Yeah.
So just so you guys know, just be sure on the commission agenda report and on the agenda listed as a public hearing, that way we can advertise it that way, but yeah, if it is, then just the chair opens public hearing.
Oh, sorry. I missed that.
Okay, public hearings open.
I apologize. So this would be Tuttle Cove Road. This was Terra Heights number 2, addition number 2. Yeah. Right away in question. Did some jogging through here. Down the road. They've asked to vacate this piece of right away. There to make their out there. Right now, pretty much that's the side of the cliffs, hillside. Pretty unusable for us. And we haven't have any intentions of using or needing it. At least the right of way line is up in here somewhere. So yeah, that's what you're looking at, is pretty steep terrain. The new right of way line is about to, it goes out to about the flattest part of the property that we can have. So you want, how you want, or any questions you have about the property, or?
So that goes back into the lot that's there.
Right.
Is that correct?
Is it hard to get in and out of here if I put it on GIS?
There's a picture down below if you're looking for pictures.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
GIS picture.
Oh, GIS, no. Just hit, yeah. Or just open another tab, rather can you GIS, either one. Yeah.
Looks like it did. This is that property here, the vacation line would run down through here, and there's they have some flat surface and hillside left. I think the idea is to separate this lot somewhere in here. Keep the VRBO, or I think that's a rental, and maybe build on the side of the hill here. That's what they're saying, so if they change their mind or not, but this is what they like to do. I see no reason not to at this time.
Some of those lines connect at all, even with that vacation. You've got some uneven.
Well, since we did not approach these, or they haven't approached us to, so basically it's just right here will be the new property line for this property.
That's gonna have a little offset.
Yep, it'll still be a little one. Basically, that kind of would lead in the future, maybe this to come up like that. But as of right now, they haven't asked. I don't see any benefit from it.
Do you have anything else?
You have to leave it open for public comment.
Is there, yeah, is there any public comment?
Ben,
Okay.
this is here for the landowners that
Do you have any public comment, Ben?
No, Ben Burton, estimation consultants, we represent the property owners. I think John explained what we're looking at. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help answer.
Well, seeing no further public comment, the public meeting's closed. Discussion of the board.
Problem. And we kind of viewed it the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the vacation of the portion of right of way on Tuttle Coast Road.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded to approve vacation of the portion of the right of way on Tuttle Cove Road. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All three sign, please. Thanks, John. Thank you. 9:30 commissioners press conference. One item.
Thanks, Ben.
I've done a couple of those tax sales.
First one I went
When I was
to.
in city right, we had some kind of watch and make sure something didn't happen. We're gonna head a.
Couple of pieces of right of way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We were keeping track of it that time. Especially what this. One of those ones for sale this time. A huge house there on Julia.
yeah.
With 8
There are
mailboxes on the front of it.
No, it's because there's 8 apartments.
Well, I know, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's shocking.
I'm trying to remember when we were there. I remember that property because I had friends that lived in one of them when I was in college. Trying to remember who owned that, and it just wasn't coming to me.
Looks pretty rough, but at one time it was a big
Mhm.
house. I don't know what it'd take to shovel back into that house, the regular house.
Well, there's a hallway in there that might be a little difficult if you were incorporating the house. It would be, if you got creative with the space on it, you can probably figure something out. It could be big.
4,000 square feet.
Yeah. But the
same owner had a couple of houses there in Colorado.
I saw the one over there on Campbell too. I drive past it a lot.
That's the one. But Manhattan bought all that windmill heights, all those lots.
Really?
And
They're gonna do some.
well, they're doing it now, they're putting senior housing in that.
And, oh, okay, that's
And
right.
that was. When the contractors were upset, it became one of the lots of lots. He's fitting in that vinyl.
Mhm.
I think I saw that on there somewhere.
Oh, that
I
was,
have, we had something going on later that, from that sale. So he said, right, I'll see here.
that was a while back,
Yeah, it's been several years ago.
16, 17.
Yeah, it's been a while.
You got that?
We get up at 3:30,
I do it pretty much every Tuesday and Wednesday now.
I usually get up at
I
5.
go to work at 5, so
I don't know how you do it. Well, you're younger than I am, that's probably.
don't always feel that way. That's the same for me too. That's the problem.
Try again.
Old fashioned.
This one. Note the large instructions for the final motion.
Oh, okay.
Just three.
Ooh, big bold letters. Ooh.
Isn't it though? And you can feel free to read that out. See attached page. That's okay.
Sure, the whole time.
Yeah, that'll be the one that's on the agenda.
Yep, thank you.
Not an add-on, you're welcome.
You guys are in all kinds of trouble today. So what happens when you hang out with him, Evan? How you doing?
Doing well, how are you?
Right, we got you in office here yet?
Excuse me?
We had you in office here yet?
No. No, you're not going to.
Just kidding, we get to see you a lot, especially in our office.
You do,
You're always welcome.
but I'm a one agenda item or one agenda person. I
There you
come for
go.
one thing now,
Uh-huh.
in First Park. But I came before I was on the board too, so it's not like.
You're welcome to come, that's why we hold them.
Yeah.
Where it's supposed to be. I thought I was gonna need to scroll it for you, but it's good. Good morning, Commissioners. Anna Burson with the Riley County Appraiser's Office. I'm just here to inform the public that it is that time of year again, and we are updating our real estate records as part of our annual maintenance process as mandated by Kansas law. Property due for reinspection, not including commercial, will receive green cards in the mail questionnaire. This is going to assist us with our process and ensure the most updated and accurate information on the property. We're asking for property owners to fill out the enclosed card and drop it in the mail. Or visit our website. There's a form they can fill out online. Not every property is due for reinspection this year, as every year. Properties are due for inspection once every 6 years. So those who receive the green card via mail are asked to either fill that out or go online, but only those that receive those green cards. If you happen to see a Riley County vehicle out taking pictures from their car, this is all part of the process. If they ever have any questions as to whether or not it is an appraiser, from our office, the vehicles are clearly marked Riley County. In addition, our staff carry their badges. And you're always welcome to talk to them while they are there if you have questions, or as well, you can contact our office. We are out this time of year, not just for the reinspection, we're also out reviewing sales. And so if ever there's a question, please feel free to contact our office. That's all I have. Thank you.
Next commissioner, we have John Ellerman, 935. David.
I'm good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
You go up and the letter bill Saturday.
I did not. I was up Thursday afternoon
I thought, saw one vehicle going by, I thought, like, she was what?
on Saturday.
Yeah,
Right.
when you're,
No, it was our person in Leonardville.
the letter bill one.
Yep.
Because you've got to send, I mean, they get the fight. Isn't that what you have?
Mine is white, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm. So, yeah, they
It was just
wrote there, moving some equipment around and such.
making good progress.
They are. We are. In fact, when I was up there Thursday afternoon, they said that they didn't know if trusses were coming on Friday or Monday.
They went
They didn't.
Friday.
They didn't. On
They
Friday
went-
is what I heard.
No, they're putting sheeting on
Mhm.
walls Saturday.
Yep. Vivian sent me the pictures that you
Oh, okay.
sent her this morning, so. Yeah, we're making good
Like I
progress.
said, it looked like trusses.
Mhm.
Next step, so.
Mhm. I was just working on my update for you guys for Thursday evening, earlier this morning, so.
They will do it a little early. I'm gonna go by there and see how it's going.
You get all this stuff, it's got.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Building, yeah,
Changed a lot.
yeah.
91 concrete was down and go up fast.
Somebody was, they had a big sale, garage sale in the community center. Bunch of craft and stuff, Jan went up there and ran into one of her friends there. She said, "Hey, somebody's building nice big house out there." And Jan goes, "No. Not what that is."
I do.
It looks like, I mean, it's right, that's the idea. Look,
Mhm.
fit from Lakeville. Somebody that wants to be a student for info that. So, yeah, and like that had the whole room full of stuff, and then this was. The crap and stuff, we didn't have to set one of the slower, open stuff.
Oh, wow.
Couple of months. That's what we had a. Hearing the ambulance,
Oh, that's right, that's right.
they had a clear foot table stacked with stuff.
Oh, really?
Their stuff, she was into a lot of different things. Yeah, a whole bunch of that kind of stuff.
I'll start a craft project. I started one about 10 years ago. still sitting there.
Ready, Commissioners?
Yes.
Good morning again, John Ellerman, Public Works. And I'm here to ask to be advertised to refill the traffic technician position. Full-time budgeted position. Takes care of our road signs, street signs. Sometimes traffic control for our construction crew. Kind of a pretty important position we have. Keep the signs up to date. And up.
This one that we continue to have some turnover with.
We've had some turnover here probably 3 or 4 times in the last 2 years. A couple of them were position changes within the department. Up there, just resignation. One was not the job for him. Apparently, this was the reason here too.
Doug Byerly held that position for decades, I think.
And that's part of one of those positions. Where Jason went from traffic control tech to engineering tech to took over Doug Byerly's supervisor position. So we've had that movement within the department in advancement. And then we've had those unfortunately one death. We had that position filled, and this last one has just been a couple resignations just because persons didn't think they were the right person for the job, that we had problems with, and they didn't think that was the right job for them.
How many of those positions do you have?
A supervisor and 2 techs in the traffic control department.
So the one is still there.
Yes.
Almost.
Would be interesting to start trying to somehow track. Some, not just in public works, but just in general. Levels of turnover, reasons why we do exit interviews on all of them, right?
Not on everyone.
Okay,
It's an option.
okay,
Yeah, we do. I mean, anybody who gives us some reason why we got that information.
okay.
I know I'm always blown away by the number of signs in the county.
I was just trying to
It's
think
a
about
huge number.
Oh, it is, it is.
We're at tens of thousands.
Yeah. Just unreal. I see the trucks out there commonly and are replacing signs when it's not down.
I just think this is part of a larger dilemma of sorts.
Some of them have specific good valid reasons, and sometimes there's terms, so we don't, maybe we need to pay attention.
We have a motion.
Nothing changed on the
Session.
Okay. Okay, I had moved to approve Public Works Department to advertise to hire the open traffic control technician position.
A second.
So moved and seconded to approve the Public Works Department advertising to hire the open traffic control technician position. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All 3 sign, please. Thank you, Don. Thanks, Commissioner. You have everything going.
Hello again, Commissioners. Evan McMillan, Raleigh County Public Works. This is for the application authorization for the University Park State Revolving Fund application. You have to forgive me, I confused this with the temporary note fund that you have mentioned during the business meeting. So this will be for the application for the state revolving loan for the project.
The reason it seems repetitive is you've got two different funding sources, and it's true, but quite frankly, even the state folks could want to see the authorization resolution for the project itself. That's possible, not just you, those two. About the time you don't have the appropriate amount of paper, that's when you get turned down.
Yeah, that's a truckload of papers. They're requiring.
Vegetable happy.
There it is. Wow. The computer was getting, it wasn't me.
Gremlins in the computer.
Yeah.
Good motion, Commissioner, are there any questions?
Okay. Execution control, okay. Yeah, I can go ahead and make a motion to approve. Commissioners to sign the resolution authorizing the filing of the application with KDHE for a loan under the Kansas Water Pollution Control Revolving Fund Act.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded, to sign the resolution authorizing filing of application with KDHE for a loan under the Kansas Water Pollution Control Revolving Fund Act. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All three sign, please.
Thank you.
Thanks, Evan. Next, Commissioners, you have Julie Gibbs, 9:45. Full force. And then you go.
How are you?
Good. You'll see on the south, down here tomorrow. Smart lady. You don't want to suffer? No, I really do. So it's on. We ever began, we go through this stuff. And I'm not the greatest. We'll see you guys, yeah. So, once again, I'm right over it. No.
Hey, Julie. Ready? Yeah.
Yeah, make a motion.
Oh.
It's a motion that we recess as the Board of County Commission. and reconvene as the Board of County Health.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded to recess as the Board of County Commissioners and reconvene as the Board of County Health. All in favor?
Good morning, Commissioners. Julie goes with the Health Department. I'm joined by Jan Scheideman, Raven Riley Supervisor. We're here to request approval for a new position. This would be a Community Outreach Coordinator. So you have the job description there that we've worked on with HR. This position is definitely needed in Raising Riley as they do a lot of outreach. Chelsea Mann Warren is she was our current IRIS coordinator. IRIS again is an acronym standing for Integrated Referral and Intake System. She fulfilled the duties within that job description, which was a temporary job for 3 years, really to revive the IRIS program and get more individuals on board. So she did get Geary County, Clay County, and Pottawatomie County now on board. So it is managing itself. Again, that will take some supervision with myself and some others from the other counties, but really with those job duties in that coordinator position, she's fulfilled those job duties. We really, since Raising Riley needed an outreach coordinator, Chelsea was definitely suitable for this position. So we'd like to move her over there. This would all be under the ECBG grant, which is the Early Childhood Block Grant through Raising Riley. Be covered under that, as the IRIS coordinator position was also covered under that grant.
So is that grant continuing, or is it just through the end of the year, or what?
Yes, it's a continuing grant. Every year you have to reapply.
Okay, and there's a pretty good chance that it will be.
Yes.
22 years.
Yeah.
And just to point out, Commissioners, the difference then between the previous job and this job, this has been a consistent, it doesn't have an end date. You would then have to decide to end this position if they would lose funding or the need would not be there. So it would be benefits eligible and it was considered a permanent position.
And the benefits are covered with the grant too.
They are.
So really, this is a transition.
I mean, in effect, it is, but it's an entirely different position. So
Right.
this position didn't exist previously, and so it is a request for a new position. But in the day-to-day life at the health department, this person is transitioning from one coordinator to another coordinator. A different title, some different duties. Yeah. And Jan has really, I mean, this is a new position, but she really has defined specifically what the duties are because they knew they had a need. Right? But we had to get it down to be very clear tasks.
I mean, the only thing that makes me hesitant is if indeed grant funding goes away, I'm not putting the burden of new positions on the county at this point in time, just straight across the board. So something we have to pay close attention to.
The grant funding went away, this program to go, and that's what I was gonna, this is not the only position that it would be paid for by this grant. So
How many's in that group that's covered under this funds?
currently under the ECBG grant, there's 6 of us. So
Okay.
there would be 7.
Okay,
So your point is accurate, but we would fold this position into all of those and have to have the bigger discussion about the entire program,
It
right?
wouldn't be just this, and
Right.
we lost that.
You all would have to make a decision about all 7 or the entire program. It wouldn't just immediately go away. The employees in the position wouldn't, but you would have to.
but that also works on the state schedule there, so there would still be
It,
a half a year of overlap or whatever you want to call it.
fiscal year,
Yeah,
yeah, we're on a fiscal year, it's July 1st.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right.
But but there's no transition, there's no time period that you would have to cover this out of county funds. Because the same grant had already been approved, it's just basically moving it from IRIS to Raising Riley. Yeah, so yes, it's on a fiscal year, but it's already been approved for this entirety of this calendar year. Right.
We'll go July to July, so it'd be
There's,
half of this year and then half of the following year.
I mean, the position for us will go, it will go annually,
Right.
we will budget for it annually, but yes, they will know in July whether they have the funding. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, for
We
the
know before
every,
July.
yeah, they will have that ahead of time. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it'd be a little late to find out, yeah.
That's all I have. Okay, make a motion. The board approved the new community outreach coordinator for the Raise and Riley department.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded to approve the new community outreach coordinator for the Raising Rally Department. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Please sign, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
John Ellen, 9-5.
I tried to convince him to give me the whole morning.
We could take it all at once. We had to divide it up.
Yeah.
Too much of one thing.
Yeah.
We have to take you in small doses.
I do too.
Since you did, I thought.
No, it's okay.
Thanks.
Go ahead and make a motion that recesses the Board of County Health and reconvene as the Board of County Commission.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we recess as the Board of County Health and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's not as bad as.
It looks pretty bad.
Yeah, but sticky notes are the only thing I'm gonna talk about.
Man, you just
Oh,
posted it and then you
that's
stapled it. This is serious.
Posted staples, clips. Should have been a over.
Staples, Office
I'll go get
Depot,
the
somebody's happy this morning. You just need to get us those easy buttons.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Thinking of trap go under his chair.
I do that too. What little front button over there.
You didn't know that was there? Installed. Installed long ago by commissioners.
Maybe that contraption, my Castle Grayskull when growing up. You hit the button and it'll drop to the bottom. I still wish I had that. Probably worth some money.
My son got it.
Seen it at a toy store when I was back home in Louisville in October. $350.
Ready, commissioners?
Yes.
Morning again, John Ellerman, Public Works. This time I'm asking for more money for David.
Nice deflection. Very nice.
Emperor David.
Emperor Dave. With the scope changes to the public safety headquarters. Scaled down, added remodel. The attached. Document is the increase or the admitted cost to the art images. To finalize designs for the Station 1 had been station for EMS and the remodel of the old station for emergency management and rural fire. We're now designing 2 buildings, 2 sets of plans, 2 sets of specifications. We've got more architect time involved in the 2. Some of the engineering time a little bit, but not so much added, more architect meetings, travel. And those things, so that scope change cost us. $135,000, $136,000 design.
I mean, you guys can't move out of your current facility into the new one over a weekend?
No, this is all about the remodeling of the EMS, the current EMS station.
Right.
So we can move out, but then they gotta design and remodel the other. You won't let me design it. I can.
No, we're definitely not gonna do that.
Are you getting itemized statements on these charges?
We do get the statements are itemized in areas of design that study the design. If we're doing, what is that, replat stuff, they are coming separate, yes.
Do you have any kind of estimation on itemization for the $135,860?
This is what they said.
They didn't give me any detail on hours or what. It's
So
just
this
for-
is not to exceed cost, so we typically, those contracts, like the original contract, those will include time spent. It's a dollar amount with a percentage of time spent on that part.
The original contract included the hourly rates for the different.
If we had to go out for extra, anything outside the contract, then those hourly rates would take effect, so. The contract itself is a dollar amount not to exceed. Barring the stuff that's not covered, which was spelled out in the contract. And this is that addition to that cost for the extra time and effort they put into the new station.
This is just their estimated increase too, because they haven't spent all of this cost yet. They're still gonna spend a lot more time on that additional project. We did have a meeting with them about it to be sure it was a justified cost, but you can't deny we did change a lot.
Well, we did. So make sure we have it.
I wasn't really thrilled when it first came.
Well, I guess the only concern I have is we're not adding a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't originally part of the original design. We're just segregating some aspects into a different location. I understand it's still different, but it's not like we're saying, well, no, we decided we're gonna put this in there, and along with it, I mean, we're just.
They had to analyze the additional building.
That
So
part I
they had to
understand,
go
yeah,
and do
I
that,
understand
you
that.
know, we took a significant amount out of the original consolidated building. It was, we're gonna have to change the name, but we don't have to change the name, but might consider changing the name. Public Safety Headquarters. It was all inclusive of an EOC, dispatch, da 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 da. Yeah. And so, yeah, trust me, I thought the same thing, but you think about it, there's a lot that has changed, and you can't just take this block from there because it changes things in the whole entire structure, and then they have to analyze the new one, trying to figure out how it's gonna fit, so. Yeah, these costs.
I'd like to, I said, well, we still got the same dollar value, but that same building, the initial building, they redesigned several options to get it, and it's still a big still a big building, and now this one, the remodel does take a lot of different type of work to figure out what can work in there, so. Yeah, I was questioning it first too, but, you know, I mean, what was involved.
Guess we'll just have to take it out of your salary.
That comes out of Russell, that's his building, no,
That's true. That's good.
Oh, yeah, true.
Russell's building.
you're throwing.
Hey, you see how this is working? Everybody's just throwing everybody under the bus and.
Point the other.
Okay.
Well, do we have any projected time when they're gonna have this design kind of
Yeah, we got it. We had one.
schedule?
Yeah, they gave us a schedule, the completion and
Yes,
stuff.
and
Time we got one of those, they could.
it'll be in the packet on Thursday.
Okay. Remember right, it's something like February.
There's the new schedule, if I recall correctly, had it opening up for the first bidding process, open up the Monday after Thanksgiving.
Right.
So, and then that would be about a month. So yeah, about the end of January 22nd or 24th, something like that is when they were expecting construction to begin.
And they will start design on
Yeah.
the new one, but they won't bid those until the new one's done.
Till the weekend after you guys move out.
Exactly.
And weren't they gonna, maybe I'm confusing, weren't they gonna try to get product in order like the two buildings? Or I'm thinking about.
We did talk about that, but also because that next one's gonna be a year and a half later, if they try to project costs for a year and a half.
Yeah.
We're gonna add a lot to cover themselves for what's coming in the year. Gonna be a year and a half.
You still have a contract with BHS to get in front of you.
Yeah.
Which will be for the construction manager at risk. We won't know the guaranteed maximum prices yet until after we get closer to bidding the project. And then we'll have one for the EMS building and then probably an amendment. Or maybe even a separate contract for the emergency management, but. To keep it afloat.
Is there, the original contract, VHS is just the preliminary stuff.
You haven't signed that yet either.
No, yeah.
We didn't sign that.
Yeah, which.
To help the commissioners, maybe. I don't know, if I would want to know anyway. I know there's standard industries on what percentage these costs should be construction management at risk for types of projects, so it might help the commissioners know if these amounts are falling within the industry standards. I mean, that's really all we have to gauge to go by to give you not comfort, but I mean, at 1 million here, another million there, you start to see why those costs we were also surprised with. The professional fees are just exorbitant, just as Russell found out with his fire station he was trying to build. Well, maybe if we don't have to go through all the formal process and get it scaled back, you don't have all those additional professional fees that add so much to a project. So I think that would be helpful if you get those for the commissioners.
I'm looking at this and I'm like, now the original scope of the project in general is supposed to be between 11 and $13 million. So this represents almost 10% of that cost.
Which is probably within this industry standards of 8 to 12%. For engineering and architect fees.
So it's just good to have that for the commissioners.
Plus, the total of this project too had that big study we did for the dispatch. That typically wouldn't have been into a normal building project that we had extra for this to see if we wanted to incorporate dispatch.
So you're saying this technically is already incorporated into that 11 to $13 million range?
Well, this is incorporated into some of what we pay the art.
Okay.
Because they had stated in here, $14 million was our budget. I didn't think it was that high, since I did professional services.
I think that was the original discussion before it inflated on us and we worked it back.
Yeah, it really got my attention that this increase was a little over a 10% increase from.
15%.
Well, at the end of the day, are we gonna be back where we were when wanted to get that. We're gonna save anybody here, or,
We'll say, for our original design, we can save a lot.
yeah,
I think you'll
But we're
make
still
some
trying
of
to
it
get
up
back
through
into-
maybe construction, because you're using a current building and adding on to instead of actually building the structure, but.
Technically, that, I think you said remodels cost a little bit more than new.
But the thing is, remember all of the costs we're saving on the parking that we were going to have to with that bigger structure over there with the Family Child Resource Center. That was a big reason why they were in favor also of doing that, because it changes the restrictions on what we have to do is to spend on parking and redesign of that other side all the way around the FCRC. So instead of spending that cost on a parking lot, then you can spend it on that building renovation.
And the water.
Water
Yeah.
retention that the city is making a big deal out of. There's a lot of little moving parts like that to remember of why it was done.
Okay. I don't really have anything else, I guess. So I make a motion to approve the contract for professional service as amended with Arch Images.
I'll second.
it's been moved and seconded to approve the contract for professional services as amended with our images. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sure, please sign.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Oh, Jason. Doing well. Good. How's Alvin?
Doing good.
How's Gary done? Good, there you go. Good. It is. Let it rain. I built my garden yesterday and I could not believe how dry it was.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I soaked it last night because it so dry. My corn. The sweet corn got really tall. It's about high now. And it was, curling and.
Yeah, I noticed my field corn, as I told my wife, I said, geez, the corn that got planted in our fields, when the leaves get narrow, when they're getting a little dry, you can tell when they're starting to curl. And
Yeah.
there was sections that was done, I said, we need to get some rain.
That's what my tomatoes are doing. They dig down in the ground, it's mud.
Yeah, my tomatoes and peppers, I got them mulched well with plastic to where that holds moisture pretty well with the rest of the
I
garden.
think the other thing is the wind just desiccates everything when it's 90 degrees above and the wind blows and it dries everything.
Like a forced air furnace.
Yeah. And Wednesday, 104, so
Yeah, that's good news.
if the wind blows, it's gonna be a dry job.
Ready for Gary, commissioners?
All right, well, good morning.
Good morning.
And so as per our last meeting, I provided the commissioners and Rich with history of our appropriation since 2011. And as well as what the K-State contribution is to the extension program. And I apologize, but the February 2021 figure is the most recent that they had for me. So that's provided. Obviously, that's going to be a little higher than that, but not by much. The salary portion that K-State pays this year will be $74,620 instead of the $69,420. And then the basically it's almost entirely the 8.5% contribution on the employer share for retirement for our 403B Board of Regents plan is probably going to be in the neighborhood of $58,000. So that's their contribution. And then if you look down there, they also this is a PIC payment for those of you that are familiar with the old farm program, payment in kind, regional office support, which is my boss and their related travel expenses and so forth, doled out by county and by the number of agents, plus tech support, which we get tech support here from Riley County. So, but we do have that availability at the state level. So they put that in there. These are their figures. So their total contribution to the program is $204,000, of which 123 is hard dollars, and the rest is payment in kind.
So that I got really confused with what their contribution was going to be, and I thought the 204 was from 21. So I mean, the way it reads here is, and
right.
So it says on this sheet that you gave us only $74,620. So I don't.
Right, because that's the hard dollars. So the other commissioner Folke is like I say, payment in kind. So that's just what when they do their budgets, they have this many dollars and then they split it up amongst all the counties, and they're saying they credit us that, but it's not hard money. They don't give us any money. It's just what they use to pay administrators and so forth like that to come out and do our budget meetings and our annual meetings. And when we do employee performance reviews in the fall.
So that's the 150,000. I'm just
Uh,
trying to figure out where that is. In kind.
well, it doesn't, the in-kind doesn't show up at all on the budget anywhere.
So you're saying that on this one is the 66,000. That's not to you guys, that's to pay people above you. Come out and help.
Right. My area director and
Yes,
probably some of the state. Yeah.
But do you have a question? 'Cause like I say, it was 60. They were saying the 69 on this one is equivalent to
The 74 on the one that you have on the
but
budget.
then the
Yeah.
benefits, you're not showing that.
Again,
They are
that's
paying part of the benefits, so those aren't listed up here in your other benefits.
no, because when we write checks to the university and then they write us a paycheck back. Then the 403B employer's portion is paid directly out of their funds. You're not paying any into that.
So that's not included in your
No, that's
benefits on here,
not on the budget or not on the,
on your budget here, that's not
Right.
included.
yeah, that's not on there. Yeah, the only hard figure you see is what they contribute to the salary portion. That's the only part that shows up on the budget. Again, the benefits are paid directly from the state to the TIA Crawford Voya, who is our provider.
Is that the retirement plan? It's the only part
Yes.
that they pay that. And you
Yes,
don't have-
sir.
This is all the other, the social security, all the other stuff. It's
Yeah.
this number here.
Yeah.
And so on this last, page of what you provided us,
Okay,
it shows the years, like last year it was, our portion was $35,955.
that was the increase.
Increase.
The first column is the total appropriation. And I should have labeled
Okay.
that. The second column is the increase over the previous year.
So you're asking for an additional $30,000 in increase.
Well, originally 70 or $65,000.
$5,000.
But when Commissioner Ford suggested maybe 5%,
Then
I
it's
put that in
31.
there at 31,780. Yes, ma'am.
On this sheet came from Cape State at the bottom,
Mhm.
says the local units 35 and state 34. Which mean about the same, but even with all these others, 200 something, and we're paying 700. How does that work?
It's the way, well, it's the way it is in every county.
But I mean, so this, what they're saying at the bottom is not right, is
Total bus local units contribute 35%, state of Kansas 34%, federal. Well, yeah, that is for the entire state. So if your county appropriation, let's say, is $125,000, like you may have in a one agent county or something. And we've got 5 agents, and so that probably makes a difference there. Again, they're dividing everything up. That's not accurate for us. Yeah.
I would say it doesn't.
Yeah.
Doesn't apply to us.
No, it doesn't apply to you.
So if we would just even keep it flat from last year. The 35,955, what would that do to your pocket? Or even the 31,780, 5%.
Well, then we would remain flat.
What it sounds like is in the state, we get punished for having that bigger office.
Yes.
The smaller offices they
So-
support, but the bigger ones, they say, oh,
Yeah.
we don't have to support them.
A little bit of history, Riley County, I think. When Bob Newsom was here as county extension director, was the first county in the state of Kansas to have a full-time director. A lot of the 2 agent counties, like either the ag or families agent, in most instances would get the director title. But the director title in Lane County, Kansas, or in Wallace County, Kansas, does not have to bear the responsibility that it does in Shawnee, Douglas, Riley, Sedgwick, where we have a larger staff. And over time, that the multi-county, if you want to call them the urban counties, and that's what they'll call them out of Manhattan. Riley, Douglas, Shawnee, Sedgwick, Wyandotte, Johnson. They've got multi agents, serve a larger population. When you're in a Manhattan or a Lawrence, you're going to have, as an ag agent in my former life, I had all the horticulture calls, all the lawn, trees, gardens, tomato plants, everything. And when you get into a larger urban area, then you have more demand for those kinds of things, and it just becomes overwhelming. So over time, those positions were approved by our executive board and with the agreement of the county commissioners at the time.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you need to cut back on people. I'm just saying it sounds like Kansas State
Contributes more than they
punishes
really do
us,
for us.
punishes us for being a better department.
Well, you also get more benefit with more agents, I would argue.
Oh, no, I know, that's fine. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I know we do.
But
But I'm just saying we get more,
percentage-wise,
but the state pays.
yes, sir.
K-State pays less because you have a better office. Like add up, but
Well, I think the irony there too is, they're asking, 5% tuition. So very large fee increases. happen to reside in one of those said urban counties too. That might be the irony of all this, but. Yeah. that-
So the other thing I would bring up, yeah, believe me, because we're paying tuition on student debt at K-State. None of the tuition money comes to extension. And the other thing is the federal government trickles down some money to each state for the extension. And then the state of Kansas picks up the biggest share of the extension budget. I don't know exactly what those figures are because I don't have that in front of me, but they pick up the bigger share of that. And so we always have somebody in Topeka fighting for extension because we're basically a separate thing.
Well, with the new president, we're supposed to be concentrating more on outreach and extension, that kind of thing. So this make a lot of sense with that.
Yeah, and I don't know how maybe restricted he would have been for this next year's budget. So I can't answer that accurately. But he has been doing a lot of things for the College of Agriculture with the new buildings and infrastructure and new faculty and staff and labs and things like that that will hopefully increase. My wife is a professor now. Science department, and she says their enrollment's up sharply this fall, at least in the animal science department, which is good because I think all the departments had been down on enrollment, but I think he's brought a new sense of pride back to agriculture for Kansas State University Extension and the college. Well, we're part of the College of Agriculture.
We've got some businesses that have gone into the building on Kimball that are working on increasing agricultural
Yes,
interest with the students.
yes.
So that may bring in some.
Yeah. They'll have an indoor arena there and be able to do livestock shows and rodeos and stuff in there. And I think a lot of that's built with donation money outside of the state.
So is that going to help our budget in 25 then?
Not for us, not for extension. Yeah.
Might also just add, how much of those new buildings and infrastructure is going to be on the tax roll.
Very little.
That's what it takes for us to have the resources to fund these budgets.
Yeah.
Clancy, you have a comment?
Just one thing, because the board did the correct thing by having Gary come back in today. You've still got, you've got another meeting too. I will just tell you, I didn't want you to think you had to decide today. Do it whatever you wish. You give direction today, perfectly legit. You could also wait till Thursday if that's what you decide you want to do.
We've got until, we had 10 days.
10 days, and really,
Which is-
depending on how much I trust a later challenge to the 10th day falling on a Sunday.
Now, when is the 10th?
The 10th day falls on a Sunday, so you would have, in
This-
theory, under
this-
most statutes,
Yeah.
you would have until Monday.
And I just think that's gonna be challenged by,
No, I'm not suggesting.
right, yeah,
I'm just saying I have to look at it from that perspective
right.
and whether or not they're acting within the parameters of their authority. One thing I'm clear about is you do have Thursday. Maybe you have Monday.
Well, maybe not.
But you got Thursday, if you want it. Just so you know, I didn't want to give you an artificial deadline.
Right, yeah, always.
Always. You wouldn't have to worry so much about the state. You have to worry about a judge somewhere else. I'm not saying anybody's going to challenge it.
As I've already mentioned, my cap this year would be at 5. Not to exceed.
I'm gonna bring up with that. I would hate to see. I don't want to see the programs really cut, but if it would stay 5% would be good. You've got a lot to do on the budget.
Yeah.
Lot going on. I don't know, we can wait till Thursday or we can think it over, or we can. not.
I think I'm thinking where I'm at, you know.
Go ahead.
Okay. Um,
Find the motion.
I've only opened this thing up about 12 times now. I don't know exactly how to put that motion together, Clancy, but.
Just move to approve the 2024 extension appropriation request to $667,300.
Number on that.
Yeah.
Dollars.
Okay. That motion there.
Okay. I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to change to approve the appropriations for the 2024 budget for extension to $667,380.
And what you're really doing is requiring extension to reconsider its budget.
Oh, that's what we're doing?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't catch that part. Yeah.
Okay.
That's part of that batting it back and forth.
Oh, okay.
Not saying it won't end up that same way, but
Yeah.
that's your direction.
Okay, so,
They can come back.
Yeah.
or it can just the finality say, no, we're approving 667,380.
so then we need to restate that.
No, just as long as they know.
If they do come back, if
Yeah.
they're asked to come back and say, well, extension would like to.
And I would suggest that that's going to happen, it'd be on Thursday.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
No, need a motion, vote on it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners. Nancy Holman, Riley County Councilor. You think extension teaches quickly? I've got about 2 minutes to tell you about fence views. The packet I've given you already is, I think, some of the most important material you need to be aware of. The first thing, the top thing, is the order. This is just an example of what a fence view results in when the board goes out and makes a determination about which of two adjoining landowners, or presumably could be more, what their responsibility is regarding a partition fence. The real gist of your authority is to make that determination. It's not anything extraneous to that. You can have contract issues come up. You can have a lot of some, not saying this one, but in past fence views, sometimes by the time it gets to requesting a fence view, the parties may or may not have had some discussion, or they may be completely at odds, believing that one or the other ought to assume more than their share of the fence maintenance responsibility. So once you go out, take a look, make that common sense determination in your own view as to what the maintenance responsibility ought to be on this particular fence, that's what's really what you're there to do. And I will tell you, the very first statute 29-101 in this, what I've given you is the entire series of statutes on fence views. Not all of them are relevant in any one given fence view. And what I've highlighted by those sticky notes are those things that could come up. But I will tell you, there's really only 4 for purposes of this one coming up that make the most sense. First of all, that top one, the reason you have a fence view is because Kansas is what's called a fence-in state. The owner of domestic animals has an obligation to keep them from trespassing on their neighbor's property. That's why the fence view process actually exists. The first sticky note is county commissioners. I want to prove to you, yes, you're the fence viewers. And that's what 29-201 says. And it's, you make the decision by simply a majority vote. I've already advised both landowners that the intention is to spend a total, once you arrive out there, of 1 hour. And each of the 2 landowners is going to be given half an hour to make their case for what they think by talking to you. As you look at the fence, how maintenance ought to be divided. How should the maintenance responsibility be divided? The second sticky note of the 4 that are most important, 29-301. And these are all at the bottom of the packet that I gave you. I tried to distinguish those. I hope that's what I did on yours. 301 talks about the owners of adjoining land shall keep up and maintain in good repair all partition fences, in equal shares. So that's usually what happens. And I suppose there could be facts that would be suggest otherwise, but normally you're splitting it between the parties and you're simply telling them, you get this half, you get this half. And it may or may not have anything to do with what they've already described. Because they have the opportunity, I'm not going to point you to that statute. There's a specific statute that says if the parties agree to how that's done, they can generate by agreement this kind of order. And then you're not even involved. So the system is designed to encourage cooperation between adjoining landowners to the extent possible. And then 29304, the next and final sticky note that I've given you today at the bottom of the page, talks about controversy, settlement by the fence viewers. And that's very broadly, when there's any controversy between adjoining landowners over the maintenance responsibility of a fence, that's when one or both can ask you for a fence. And that's why we're probably going out Thursday. I need to hear back from the applicant. I've asked for detail about specifically where are we going to enter the property and to confirm that they're still available. I probably will get that today, I'm hoping. But if I find out we're not, and I've also said I've got to get that location because it's got to be on an agenda for Thursday, because it's an open public meeting. The public has a right to know under COMA to know where is this meeting going to be. So, never had anybody show up yet. I'm not asking for anybody to show up, but they have that right. Do you have any questions on the general?
Where is this, or?
It's to the north. It's the Nelson property.
We'll find out when we get there.
Well,
Can't look ahead of time.
no, you can look ahead of time. I can send that to you. That's what I intend to get is a better idea of the exact location we're going to be at, but it's Roger and Penny Nelson. They're the ones who asked for the fence.
Do you realize a typo here?
No, how can there be? Where is it?
Apparently you can see in the future 18,000 years.
I'm
We're
sorry.
not making that written request until
Oh,
2022.
23.
Well, see, you got some real lead time. You thought you had lead time on extension?
Yeah.
Go ahead, enjoy yourselves. I'm surprised if there's only one typo. I was scrambling to get that done.
That's a big one.
So unless you have questions, that's all I've got until the executive session.
Just to clarify, we're leaving here at 9.
9 o'clock.
From this office or where are we going?
That's usually what we do because if you're taking a venue.
And we're still not 100% affirmative on that. yet.
No, and as soon as I know, I'll let everybody know.
But also just clarify, can you just pick me up at the park and ride there at the Valley corner?
I'll try and remember, but if you see me not slowing down as I'm going past. up and
Throw something
down.
at you.
And the rest of us waving. Would ask for the executive session.
How long?
It'd be for an hour.
An hour?
Yep.
I'm gonna go to the restaurant.
Oh, because everybody has a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I better, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Take a quick break and then.
Yeah.
Make the
I
motion.
know our intergovernmental is supposed to start at 11:30.
It will.
Oh, yeah.
It just takes too
Lunch
much.
starts at 9:30.
Hang on, I'll be back.
Try and help and look what happened.
You end up unemployed.
Yeah. Recommended.
Gotta wait. Trying to get anything done.
I knew you were a sign of trouble today, Jason. What's that? I knew when I saw you walk in, it was a sign of trouble. Hey, you know what? It's not me.
It's not. That's what they all say.
I don't think. That's fishing bait now.
Move the county commission, including Chairwoman Foki, Vice Chairman Ford, and Commissioner McKinley recess into executive session on a performance manner of non-elected personnel to protect the privacy of the employee and exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act with Clancy Holman, Raleigh County Counselor, Attorney for the Commission, Elizabeth Ward, Human Resource Manager, and the open meeting to resume in the County Commission chamber at 11:37 a.m.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to recess into executive session until 11:37 a.m. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and move that the Board of County Commissioners come out of executive session.
Second.
So moved and seconded that the Fort County Commissioners come out of executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll go ahead and also move that the county commission approve the disciplinary action reviewed today in executive session. And the county council shall advise those parties in writing.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded that the board approve the disciplinary action as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners. That's all I have.
Okay. I'll do my best. Thank you, guys. That concludes our business today. Do we have anything else? No, you have to talk.
Yeah, I was gonna just mention this, with the holiday next week falling on a Tuesday. It's like a lot of people here are taking off. I'm not hearing of a lot of business and other items, so I wonder really how productive things are gonna be on Monday. I'm wondering if it's not just a thought to go ahead and close on Monday and call it good. We did it 3 years ago on the Friday before, same reason, same rationale, whole different dynamic though, but bouncing back and forth on it.
We got 2 items on the agenda. The meeting should, if we have a meeting at this point, it'll probably be done at 9:20. If you have a meeting. There's no business items listed at all. Clancy's
Right.
updates one of the items, so I don't know if you have much anticipated for Monday. I know it'd be heartbreaking to miss Clancy, but
I don't know, Clancy.
You made me the bad guy, huh?
Health Department did, Julie sent something out earlier this week about they're gonna be really low staff. Every section would be staffed, but it'd be skeletal staff, and that's how it'll be in all departments. It's just the fact of the matter when holidays fall that way.
Are there any appointments in the treasurer's office or anything, that
No, Shiloh had discussed it. Someone brought up department head meeting and she said, the employees would love to have it off. I know Pot County's discussing it as well. Earlier in the week, we heard of that, but I don't know if any decision's been made there.
What about the city?
That I do not know.
I have no idea.
And that I do not know. I know some counties are open, some are closed.
Yeah.
It's on our clerk's listserv, that is something it is good for. So some are closed, some are open.
I'm not gonna be here, so anyway, so it's.
I'm okay with taking Monday off. I haven't made plans yet, but if I do, I'm probably
You're saying
leaving
taking our meeting off or closing? Yeah.
both. Yeah.
I don't want to.
I guess we have to all agree, don't we? Can't just. Well, if we're not gonna be productive, if we're at skeleton
With Greg
creek,
till that, until I started hearing how many people are taking off and what's gonna be available and what's gonna be there, and I'm like. It's just, once again, it falls in that kind of weird little slot there.
we could have been discussed this sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It always happens this way. This is how every one of them comes. That's why, in these things, it happens this way with Christmas Eve so many times in these. It's happened my entire career. It's last minute. I just wish we'd make it part of the policy rather than this, because this is how it happens every time.
We did change the Christmas policy.
Yeah, but there's others that it happens, and I don't like the last minute thing either, but that's how it is, everyone takes this, some people take it off, some are waiting to take it off, see what the county does, and some don't make plans because of that, and I'm just assuming if it's something that happens regularly, just make it part of the policy, but this is how it traditionally happens. The closer you get to it, the more discussion there is amongst department heads and employees. That's just human nature.
Well, the people who have already asked for time off, are they gonna, is that gonna reflect in their pay? Or
Doesn't reflect in their pay, would reflect in annual leave, and that's another reason, if the commission were to close on Monday, I would suggest that, that we allow it to just be considered holiday, because that's why everyone is taking it, is because of holiday, and to me, it seems,
And that wouldn't be fair to the people.
Well,
right.
you're saying make, I'm trying to think, how many holidays aren't Monday holidays anymore? 4th of July. Is.
Martin Luther King Day,
And see,
It's
that's,
a Monday,
Juneteenth.
Juneteenth.
Well, that one kind of falls on a
That
Friday
was
or a
Sunday.
Monday.
Yeah.
and that's why we,
Juneteenth is always a Friday or a Monday.
and because of these reasons, it's exactly why, good point. Thanksgiving's always on a Thursday.
And so.
Why even before I came on the county, they took the Friday after as part of the policy, because
Yeah.
these kind of discussions always came up.
But like I say, making it positive, but I don't know how many times it's extended, like I say.
Good.
This Juneteenth always a Friday or a Monday. Oh, I mean, it wasn't Monday this year, but.
No, it's,
Martin Luther King's always a Monday.
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
You know,
that's true.
Suppose, no, Memorial Day is always Monday.
Labor Day.
Labor Day.
It's such a new setup.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure on that.
Yeah,
July
That's
4th
probably-
varies.
the majority of staff have Monday off voluntarily already in summer. Yeah, everyone would love to take it for sure, no doubt. We have had many inquiries in our department from other departments.
I don't have a problem with it of just declaring Monday as a holiday moving forward, but
Well, I don't either. I'm hearing, our meetings only 9:30.
yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. Well, but for the whole county, we'd have to get information out ASAP.
Mhm.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we kind of need to do it in a couple of manner. And I'll go ahead and just shoot a motion out there and we'll just see where it goes. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we declare July 3rd off holiday along with July 4th.
I would second that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
It's Juneteenth is June 9th.
It's June 19th every year.
That's what I was trying, I was.
I was gonna do the same thing. I was gonna Google it too.
I guess in this cycle, it fell on a Friday and a Saturday this year, so okay.
So I thought, no, it was Monday was the night.
Yeah, I got confused. I thought everything was gonna be on Monday and it was all over.
Yeah, they had, they had stuff on Friday and Saturday.
Okay, any other business?
No,
And we have a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn the June, whatever day it is. You never run County Commission.
Actually, after the.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, do we have-
yeah, we need to do that, to adjourn after the noon intergovernmental meeting, if you all make it there.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the June 26th meeting after our intergovernmental luncheon today. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
See y'all there.